Bijane.
How you doing, Dr. Houston? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Can you believe it? January is almost over already.
It is flying by. I can't believe it.
Oh my goodness. And what I can't believe are the two guests that we have on to kick us off in January of 2023. We have two special and phenomenal featured guests. So I can't wait for our audience to actually meet them. And so first I want to say welcome everybody to the Power of Collaboration, where myself, Bijane Kareem, and co-host Dr. Shika Houston will be providing grant tips on funding and helping authors and entrepreneurs to connect with schools and parents to get more out of their books and innovations so schools can use them where it's needed. So while Dr. Houston is busy feeding through different groups and letting people know that, hey, we are on live, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about BK International and our services before we bring up our guests. And then I'm going to introduce our guests because I'm super excited to have this dynamic duo. So I'm an educator, an equity advocate and an author, founder of BK International Education Consultancy, where we have a social impact mission to increase students' access to innovative education through grant writing and STEM education. So it is always a pleasure to be able to work side by side with Dr. Shika Houston, co-founder of Create and Educate, because that's what we want to do. We want to change learning landscapes for children. And so what we often do is help to coach schools and nonprofits and community organizations on how can you tap into funding so that you can make your program stellar and see kids thrive. And so I'll talk to you all a little bit more about what we do and also with the authors today on how we can help them get their books into schools. So for our featured guests, this is what I've been excited about to share with you. We have two dynamic women for tonight. One is Shatara, and Shatara strongly believes in the education of young people. She has taught in secondary education for 10 years and currently is employed as a grant evaluator for various organizations. And it is her absolute joy in assisting others. Sound like my type of girl. And aside from her career, Shatara also freelances as a writer, a blogger, an author, a self-publisher under her business, Thai Rights LLC. So what Shatara strives to do is assist her clients and offer them a stress-free experience, right? Who doesn't want to be stress-free? She is also the founder of a nonprofit organization called Thai Talks, which has a mission to empower women across the globe to embrace who God has called them to be by offering free or donation-only workshops, seminars, conferences, goal-setting groups, retreats, and more. And through fundraising, Thai Talks has been able to give Christmas to single mothers in need and their children, provide fellowship opportunities for single mothers, and even pay past due bills such as rent and utilities. She also is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So I definitely.
All right, Sarah.
Okay. See, there's always a connection. There's always a connection. So we can't wait to pull her up. And not only is Shatara speaking with us, but we also have Ashley Monique. And Ashley Monique is an entrepreneur, author, professor, mentor, and radio host. She actually is currently in the process of her dissertation phase of receiving a PhD in human and social services from Walden University. So she's wearing multiple hats, okay? And she's the founder and CEO of Ashley Monique LLC. And their services, they help to provide business startup training, motivational speaking, consulting, and coaching. And her business mission is geared towards promoting holistic growth. So Ashley Monique also started a clothing line called Beautifully Favored. And the line specializes in women's clothing and accessories. She has a strong passion for mentoring youth and serves on the board of directors for Young Men on a Mission. She also serves as an undergraduate adjunct professor at Auburn University in Montgomery. and facilitates classes such as social work, sociology, anthropology, in the anthropology department. So she wears a lot of hats. There's tons of connections going on here. We can't wait to bring her out. And she's going to share even more about her CHANGE, Connecting Hands by Accommodating Necessary Growth for Everyone, nonprofit organization. I'm so excited because these are some powerful women who are changing communities, changing lives, helping the community. And so we definitely can't wait to get into picking their brain tonight. But before we do that, I'm going to talk to Dr. Sheker Houston, pass it back over to my partner in good trouble to share a little bit more about Create and Educate.
Thank you, Bijane. And my business partner, Dr. Tammy Taylor, and I started Create and Educate to be able to help authors conduct more business with schools. One of the things that was the turning point for my school, I was at a middle school. I was the principal there for 5 years, and the school was in unsatisfactory status. So we were able to raise the achievement level to report card grade levels from unsatisfactory to average in 1 year. And one of the things that made the biggest difference was making sure that my students were empowered. And we were able to do that by making sure they had culturally relevant literature in every classroom. We also brought in some speakers that really delved a lot into their true, authentic history, not just the history that has been selected to be in a lot of the history books, like we hear traditionally around Black History Month. And, it's not to diminish, because we definitely want to make sure we're celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. and his great contributions and Rosa Parks. But we also want children to know that your history and the things that we see in our culture, like the medical field and all of those different things originated in Africa. And so, it's a lot more empowering than what they learn on a regular basis. So when that game changer happened for my students and they were more empowered, Tammy and I were more intentional about seeking out independent authors, because what we were finding is that the catalogs that are in schools don't necessarily have a great deal, sometimes, of that diversity that we were looking for. So when we were more intentional about that, we came across several authors, and we hosted some online literacy events, and they actually wanted more information about how do they get their books and information into schools. And we went through that whole procurement process where you fill out a vendor form, who you should contact, who are your best people to go through, because you don't want to just get one book in the library. You want them to really get those classroom libraries where every student could potentially have a book in their hand where they can see themselves. So our module system helps authors and speakers and really anybody who would like to do business with school, walks you through that process and helps you to connect what you have to the school curriculum and the best times of year. And it also talks to you, gives you a lot of information about that budgeting, where you know how to fit what you have to offer into our school budgets. So we are excited to hear from you ladies, and welcome. And let me take this comment down. We will start, and thank you for joining us, Higher Definition Radio. With Shatara, could you tell us a little bit about your book, and also what made you become an author, or what was your inspiration?
So I've always loved writing. Let me say that off the top. I've always loved writing and reading. Those have been my love since I was a child. So it wasn't uncommon for me to want to write a book, but of course, it's like, what's it gonna be about? So in 2016, I think, after like experiencing just a whole lot of life, I felt like in my early 20s, I felt like I had lived like a life that somebody would experience like in their late 50s or 60s. I felt like I had learned a lot that I could actually put in a book. And I wanted to share that. So I did. I wrote it all down. I wrote the headings down and then I typed it up. From there, I struggled with finding a way to publish the book. Like I knew about publishing companies and things of that nature, but they were pretty expensive. Like, we talking $4,000 to $6,000 just to publish the book. Like that's it. And so time progressed and I kept like playing around with different self-publishing platforms. I sat at other people's book release parties and waited my time. And I would like inquire sometimes, but some people were able to do it, but I just wasn't able to figure it out at that time. But time is everything. I understand that. And so eventually by 2019, I was finally able to figure out how to self-publish my book, and I did. I've learned 1,000 other things since then, but that is where my book 30 by 30 comes from. And that was the first. And then from there, I helped my mom publish a book. And then we had written this book titled Jenny's Girls together years before. Like it was really not even, it was just us sitting around talking. And I collected the stories that had been told to me since I was a child. Jenny's Girls is based off my grandmother and her sisters. My great grandmother was named Virginia. And so she's Jenny, and those were her girls, her daughters. And so it's like a collection of stories that formulate a book. So we wrote this one and published it together. And then since then, I've blogged, I've been in other publications and did other things. And one thing that I did do, I was in an anthology, and I'm actually in another one, but it's called Daughters of the King, and it's for single women. So those are just three. I am working on some other projects, and I do help others with their books as a part of my business. So that's where it came from. That's how it all got started.
That is awesome. And I commend you because we usually read the statistic on how little a small percentage of African Americans are actually published authors. I'm going to find it. I think it was 7%.
Wow.
And the majority
5.8.
5.8. And the majority comes from the majority race here in the United States. So being a published author of color is really a big deal. And it's important to make sure that we are able to hear messages from people who look like us. So congratulations. That's awesome. I can't wait to put your link so people can get your books in the comments.
Wow. That's interesting because I know so many African American published authors. So it's like you would think that the percentage is so much bigger, but it's all about who you know. So I understand it and who you surround yourself with. It makes sense. But still, yeah.
And another thing with this platform, thanks to Dr. Shika's vision, is that also with those publishing, they're a small portion of African Americans. But as you mentioned, it's very costly to go through a traditional publishing company, and all they do is publish. They don't help with marketing and promote and all those things, right? So with our ingenuity, we find ways to self-publish quality books. And so that's part of this platform, is to amplify our voices, because you may not find us in a traditional public publishing publishing house, but there are many quality, like you said, so many, Black authors, so do I, that we want to elevate their voices and get the word out there. There are some good, rich books that have been self-published. So
yeah, that statistic was the 7.2 were for Hispanic or Latina people, and then for African Americans, like Bijane said, it was 5.8, and for Asians Americans, it's only 4%. So,
wow,
kudos to you, ladies.
Thank you.
And Ashley, would you like to tell us about your book and your inspiration for writing?
Yes. So unlike Shatara, I don't like to write or to read. I
I don't either. So I'm right there with you.
got to
Well,
be
I'm like
honest here. I got to be
Sarah.
honest.
Me and my Sarah got some things in common.
Right, right. Well, actually, your soror too, girl. She just
I am, but I don't like to write or read.
write and read.
So you can write and read, but you just
Right.
don't prefer to write.
I was just about to say, but I'm good at writing. But so the way I was inspired to write books was I was going through several different things in life. And it's like I started to question, like, why me? And you know, sometimes when we go through things, it's almost like we want to know why it had to happen to us. And those are the questions that I started asking. And then I thought about it. It came to me just as clear one day. You didn't just go through things in life just to help yourself get through those struggles. You went through things to help yourself and to gain tools that you needed to help other people. So I started to question again, like, okay, I have these tools. How can I get them out there? And that's where the book series started, Reconnecting My Brokenness Tips to Renew Your Mind. I have a devotional series, and this is the last copy of the last edition that I put out. I have one more to put out, hopefully before the end of the month, that will end this series. Yes. But it's a 3-month, a 6-month, a 9-month, and then the 12 shall be coming out soon. And in these books, I have inspirational quotes. I have daily tips for reconnecting the brokenness you may have experienced in life. I also have sections in the book where you can journal, because I don't just want you to take the tips that I'm giving, the scriptures, the quotes, all the inspiration, but I want you to be able to take that information that I provide in the books and connect it to your own personal life. I want to take what you're getting. I want you to take what you're getting from what I'm providing. And then I want you to think over some things you may be experiencing in your life and be able to connect the pieces and put the information down as you journal and go through the devotionals. And I also provide affirmations. A lot of times people really don't know how important it is to speak things into the atmosphere, to write it down, make it plain, and speak things into the atmosphere, because they're more prone to happen for you. And in the back of the books, I have not only have affirmations, but I have resources for individuals who may be experiencing domestic violence, suicidal ideation, anything connected to behavioral health, or just, mental health. Like, it's very important that we take our mental health seriously. You do not need to be abused, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, and so forth. So I have those resources in the back of the books for individuals that may be experiencing some type of turmoil. But last but not least, at the beginning of each book, I tell a piece of my story, and each book has a different focus. Now, when I brought out my very first book, I had the question come from a family member. They say, "You're not embarrassed to tell your story?" No, because it happened to story, and the tools that I use to overcome them may help somebody else. So I was able to utilize the tools that were given and put it in different books. So that's how book journey process started.
Actually, what you're sharing is so important. I want to make sure that everyone can hear it. Your sound is going out a little bit. I don't know if it's your connection. Can you hear us still?
I can hear you.
Okay. Say that part again about we heard the part about a family member asked you about being embarrassed. I think you're clearing up now. So it should be good.
Okay, she asked me why would I want to share personal turmoil for people to hear. I'm sorry, to read. And I let her know it's not about me at this point. And I'm not scared to tell my story. I really suggest other people do the same, because you don't know who you're helping. The tools that you use and gained over a process that may have taken you maybe 3 or 4 years to overcome something, you can utilize those same tools, give them to someone else, and it can help them come out of their situation. So that is really why I started my book writing process.
Well, that is awesome. And I commend you as well. And that's how I start every one of my days. I think we lost her. With a devotional. And one of my custodians, being a principal of a middle school, sometimes can be stressful. And she would say, Dr. Houston, I see why you read that devotional every morning when things might have been going awry, but that's, make sure that I start my day correctly is, by making sure that I start with the word, because that's what centers me and, connects me to my faith. And when she talked about the affirmations, oh, she's backstage now. There you go. The affirmations, they are so important, and what you're putting into your mind, that is important. And my daughters and I, on the way to school every morning, we listen to positive affirmations, because I want that to be embedded in them before they go into the schoolhouse as well, just to make sure that their self-esteem is developing the way that it should be. So all of those are phenomenal things. Devotionals make great gifts, and are things that, people can definitely, make you great use of. Both of your books. You're muted, Bijane.
And speaking of inspiration, if you, both of you ladies, were to give one nugget to an inspiring author, something to inspire them to go ahead and move forward with writing, whether they are writing is not their first love, right? Or maybe they're struggling with finding the support to get their book published. If you could give one inspirational tip, what would that be? What would that be?
I'm trying to think of something that's not cliche, but I'm trying to think of something I run into a lot with authors. Oh, I got one. And this is something I run into, and I had this conversation the other day. Like, because I run into a lot of people where they have a story and they do want to tell it, and it may be their shame or it may be something. But another big thing is that they've told so many people that said they would help them and did not. Or they were burned and scammed. And so when they come to me, no matter what my website say, no matter what, I'm telling them, they still very reluctant to trust me. And I'm like, if I scam you, I got way more to lose. So at this point in my business. So why would I? And so I can't waste a lot of time convincing people to trust me. So my advice would be, use your discernment and find someone to help you that you can trust. Or, in like social media has opened doors. Like the internet has opened doors. There are so many people that can help you. Ashley went on the news and mentioned me, and a lady called a news station to get Ashley number so she could get my number from Ashley. Like literally, it went just like that. So there are ways to get help, but if anything, like I always say, you gotta trust. Like that's my first thing. You gotta trust me. So don't be so scared to lose, or that you're so scared to lose that you won't even take the risk of getting your book published. Like I know it's scammers out there, but you got to be able to read them. You got to use your discernment. You got to. If they can't produce certain things and they got a problem with producing it, or it take them a long time to produce it, then you probably can't trust that person. But
one way to combat that, because that is a very real thing for people. We actually had a lady we took up a collection for at church. Somebody stole all the money out of her bank account, just pretending to be somebody from the bank, and she gave them her banking information. But one way you could combat that with the trust is by having references, testimonials, because and then people that they can actually, because I always ask for references when I'm working with people, and I don't want to just read them, and I don't want to just click on your video. I want to contact the person. Give me some references that I can contact to see how their interactions were with you. And
Mhm.
some of them have been good that I've checked, and some of them said, well, no, I think you better steer clear of this person.
Mhm.
So it's always good to provide references, and that way people can
Mhm.
check.
As
Yeah.
well as champions. So you mentioned earlier that Ashley Monique was on the news and
Right.
shouted you out, right? So being able to have other people to champion for
Right.
you in your circle
Exactly.
also
Mhm.
helps to relay that trust as well.
Exactly. So my piece of advice would be just do your research, like you said, ask for references and
Mhm.
go for it. Don't let, oh, I got scammed one time, so now I'm just never gonna publish my book again.
Right.
Don't let that stop you.
Yeah,
Like,
get your
don't.
story out
Mhm.
there.
Right.
Mhm. Ashley Monique, how about you? One nugget, one inspirational tip.
My one inspirational tip is stop wasting your talent, skills, and gifts because they were
Oh,
given to you for a reason, and stop being selfish, holding on to those things
Right.
when you were meant to give it to the world.
are you preaching
Mhm.
tonight? Are you preaching, Ashley Monique, tonight? Are you preaching tonight? Okay. Give us the word.
Right.
And that
Go ahead.
I totally agree with both of you. And just from your experience that you talked about with your family member, sometimes the people closest to you may not be the people that's encouraging you the most. So also, get some people who, are the people who are going to encourage you and celebrate you, and, just block out that negativity.
Yeah.
And we're all published authors on this
Right.
platform. I'm a part of the Women Who Lead, which is a Amazon bestseller, and Bijane is also an author. So definitely, I think one of the pieces of advice that I would give is block off the time, because
Mm.
that was the thing for me. And
Mhm.
we're my business partner and I are working on a second book. I have to, because my day is so full. And people are like, you get up that early? Yeah, I get up at 3 o'clock because
Ooh.
right now, 3 a.m., I got to get my workout in too. I have to finish this because I have some deadlines to meet.
Mhm.
So, blocking off the time. I'm a morning person. Everything that's going to be my best is going to happen early in the morning.
Yeah,
If
me
it's late at night, I don't know what's going to come out of that, but that works for me. And do what works for you, because if later at night works for you, some people are night owls, but just block off the time.
Yeah, having that writing plan is important. And I know for me in writing the book, my mom was actually the inspiration. She's like, "You need to get your book out there." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And then COVID hit, so and we all were sitting at home, right? So I was like, "I guess
Mhm.
I have the time now." And for
Right.
me, what was helpful was having an accountability partner. So, like Sheikah said, blocking off the time, right? And then tapping into resources of people who have written books before that I could get some shared knowledge from, but then having an accountability partner to check in on me, like, where are you? Did you write this week? You said you're on your edits now. Where are you with your edits? And so I think all those nuggets will ultimately render what Ashley Monique said is getting your talents out there, and not
Mhm.
just holding them to yourself, and sharing them with the world, your God's gift with the world. I'm curious. So it seems like you all tag team, you all work together. Where can people find you all next? Like where's next people can find you all?
Well, we are on a book tour together. So let me just say the book tour is the Better Together book tour. Um, and it started like last year. When did we have that book signing? Last year in January, didn't it? Yeah.
I think
We,
I
we
met you all that was December.
yeah, the tour started though. It started in January. Like we did a book
Oh,
signing together, and it was like, hey, maybe we should continue this, and maybe we should feature an author everywhere we go. So the idea came around. Look, LaQuain was
last
our
year.
first.
She knows, she said last year.
Yeah, LaQuain was our first featured author, and she was just absolutely amazing. We're so grateful for her and all of our authors who have been a part of the tour. She but she was the first, and we started in Montgomery, and we've been to several other places. We did meet you in Atlanta. We'll be back in Atlanta February 18th, 2023.
Come on, three.
And the address, I'm gonna get y'all the address of where we're gonna be too. But yeah, so we're on the book tour together, and you can find us on Facebook, Better Together Book Tour, Instagram, Miss Ty Talks, I think Ashley, what's your Instagram? Ashley Monique for Ashley. So they can find us in all those places. But Better Together Book Tour will give you the whole tour schedule, so you'll know we coming to your city. So in Atlanta next month, we're going to be at 6843 Main Street in Lithonia, Georgia, 30058.
6843.
Main Street, Lithonia, Georgia. So we'll be there from 10 a.m. to noon. So definitely come by. Not only do we have our books, of course, like I said, we have the feature author. We talk about our process. We get a little bit more in depth in what we do and how we went through the publishing process. We talk about our books. We mingle. There's some networking that takes place at these events. So definitely come out if you're in the Atlanta area on February 18th.
Absolutely. And also please share with your audience and your fans and your supporters that come out, once they are published through you all, to have them stop by us so we can help them get their books and their products and services in the schools.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't get a chance to mention tonight, and I'm so glad to know that you are a grant evaluator, so you know about this, Shatara, is that there are funds out there. I just went to a webinar last week, and there's $1 trillion between 2023 and 2025 that has been earmarked for education, from kindergarten all the way through college. Why can't we tap into those funds? We should be tapping into those funds so that we can get our books published, get our books in school, help increase our readership, and change the world. So
exactly.
For you two, you all have great books that would fall under social emotional learning, even the work you do with college and career readiness, workforce development, even just creating that culturally rich text you were saying about the story that was inspired by your grandmother. Like, oh my God, just there is tons of funding. We know literacy is key in schools, right? So schools need books, teachers need books, kids need books.
Exactly.
So I think what you all have is fantastic, phenomenal. And LaToya wants to know, is the event free so she can come see you in February?
Yes, LaToya, it is free. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
Come out. We have, it is free. Like I said, it's free. Mingling, just all of that. So, and it's just really, I think a lot of people have been inspired by, and not to toot our own horn or anything, but a lot of people come and get a lot of people come and get a lot of inspiration when they come to the tour event. So it's important. But yes, LaToya, we hope to see you there.
And I want to highlight her. She's actually one of our Storytime partners. Reading with Miss McGriff is one of the platforms that we feature. She reads books and stories for Storytime on Tuesdays to the little ones. And I believe she started that during the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken. But my daughter, we tune in. And they love it. Kind of gives parents a break. It gives you an example of how to do a read aloud with your child. And she asks those important questions to make sure that they're comprehending the story. So we show that on our other platform, The Collaborative. That's the first Tuesday of each month. But I love the fact that you all are collaborating, because we're really big on that our platform, The Power of Collaboration, definitely we're better together. We don't have to be competitive, and we like to model that there's enough out here for everyone. We can lift as we climb. So I commend you ladies for that as well. And I just wanted to highlight too a couple more people. Dr. Raj, she's an author as well, who's been on with us before, and Dr. Stephen Jones, who talked about developing a weekly schedule, which is very important.
Dr. Houston, don't forget to share with the people where they can find us and stay connected, because we also are looking for other featured guests that we can showcase on our show. And then also for just support connecting educators with great resources.
Most definitely. I am putting in the chat both of our websites where you can find the information about getting connected with more schools. If you're an author or a business or a speaker, this will just help you through that process. is sometimes it can be intimidating to people because in schools we require, that paperwork, but our modules really walk you through that and actually talk to you about how to fit what you have into the different budgets and funding that we have, the different pots of money, and explains that to you. So I also will put in, is there a link where they can sign up to be on with us, Bijane, or should they just go through the website, Create and Educate?
They can go through the website, but I can see if I can grab it
Okay.
real quick. Yeah.
So and thank you for tuning in, Arcella. We appreciate you as well. And thank you, ladies, for being willing to share your stories about your books, and just again commend you for what you're doing. I think it's phenomenal. Here's the sign up link. And if you have a book, or if you are a speaker, or if you're an entrepreneur and you have a service that you would like to share on our platform, I just put a form in the comments there that you can sign up, and hopefully we can have you on. Like we said, the power of collaboration, that's what we're all about, collaborating with other people who have great things to offer for parents and educators. We're all looking for great resources, and we definitely want to tap into people who look like us, who have produced things, because that cultural relevant piece is not relevant just for children. It's relevant for us too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, thank you all for having us on too. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can't
Wait to see you all back in the A.
Yeah.
Yes. You all have a great night, and good night, everyone. Thank you all for your time, and we'll see you in a month, next month.
Yeah, February 18th.
All right.
Well,
good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.